Hello and welcome to HTTV Extra Time in association with Sportsbroker. I'm pleased to be joined by the Huddersfield Examiner's ex-sports editor, Mel Booth, and current Huddersfield Examiner writer and Opta analyst, David Hartrick. How are you two both doing this evening?
Good.
Yeah, great.
I almost said afternoon then. I'm full of life and energy after that. I think it's earlier in the day than it is. Mel, if we start with you, the way that game ended, going into Friday night and another quick turnaround, it was perhaps the perfect ending to that fixture for Town.
Yeah, I mean, the result is everything, isn't it? In this situation, so close to the end of the season, you're playing a rival right up there in the playoff zone. And the one thing you've got to do, if you possibly can, is win. And that's what Town did. Yeah, there were ups and downs. The first half was extremely cagey from both sides, cancelling each other out. But then it opened up a little bit more in the second half. And, you know, Town, they produced what was necessary. They got the breakthrough. They had a little bit of luck when the penalty was missed. It would have been an interesting last 20 minutes had Luton scored. But then to get the goal right at the end and seal it was fantastic. But it was all about the result tonight. That is so important with these next couple of games coming up.
Yeah, Mel touched on it slightly there, Dave, but it's something that you mentioned quickly before we started recording. The first half was completely different. There was almost nothing to separate them. It was a real contrast to styles. Luton obviously a little bit more direct than Town, who build a bit more patiently. But it was quite interesting to watch, a real tactical battle, and one, you know, Sky cameras here tonight, one they're probably glad they picked and moved and had on this evening, with hardly anything else on. It seemed at that point as if that's much the way that the second half would go, and instead it seemed to open up a bit more.
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, it was two very decent teams cancelling each other out a little bit. And I think Luton had done their homework, and I think they were going man for man in certain areas of the pitch, and they were doing a very decent job at it as well, to be honest. But half-time, I think, came at quite a good point in the game, because I think it gave Corberan a little bit of time to just shuffle around a little bit. And Luton went a little bit more open second half, and that just gave Town a couple of pockets of space to operate in. And yeah, the first half it wasn't a classic by any stretch, but I thought it was a very interesting game throughout, really. And it's one of those games that even at with Town 1-0 up, I honestly didn't know how it was going to finish. It didn't feel like a game they were going to see out particularly comfortably. But, you know, Luton are a decent side. That is an excellent win. The other thing I think we talk about 6-pointers only in terms of a relegation battle. That's a 6-pointer, that, because not only have Town got 3 points, they've taken 3 points off a rival in those playoff places. So, yeah, it's just a massive win.
Dave, I'm gonna put you on the spot slightly. Did you think it was a penalty?
The thing is, in our row, the TVs were going a bit weird tonight, and I didn't actually see a replay. From where I'm looking, you're sat in the press box with me, so you can see you got a very good angle. There didn't look a lot in it, shall we say? There did not look a lot in it. I can also see why it was given, because the referee has to take position on the pitch, so he can only look from his angle there. I think, well, it was missed, so let's not worry about it.
Yeah, there's a saying in basketball, when a free throw is given, that the ball don't lie, and perhaps we can go along those lines tonight. Mel, what about yourself? Did you think it was a penalty?
No, I didn't actually. I thought it was very, very soft. It could have been given the other way, and nobody would have batted an eyelid.
Yeah,
I really couldn't see it personally, but there we are. You know, you could argue, you know, you shouldn't be making any contact in that area when you're the defensive player, but I didn't see it. I really thought it was a very soft penalty, and fortunately it was missed, because it would have been a harsh way for Town to go level at that stage with 20 minutes left.
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? Because I think you've definitely seen them given to get one cliche out of the book, and then the other one is it's down the other end, and we're not giving it. Then you're screaming for it as well. So
I would say that I know he's missed the penalty, and I know he's put it to the outside of the post, but Lee Nichols was massive. Well, not only did he have it covered, but he was magnificent in the build-up to that penalty because he got in his head. He properly got in his head beforehand. And I don't know if the Sky cameras caught it, but Lee Nichols is definitely a specialist on penalties, isn't he, from start to finish?
Yeah, it's one of his many tricks that he has up his sleeve, Lee, and it's not just making saves that he's very good at between the sticks. Yeah. Mel, that was a huge moment because straight afterwards, Luton, for want of a better phrase, their head seemed to go a little bit. There was a possible red card for, a big shove on Lewis O'Brien, and a couple of yellows came out of that. And, Sorba Thomas got one as well, and then the game really seemed to just lose its temper a little bit until Naby Sarr came on and wrapped it up.
Yeah, it got spicy all of a sudden, didn't it? Particularly after the penalty. I mean, I think Naismith was really lucky not to suffer a harsher penalty for flooring Lewis O'Brien, basically. But it got really tasty after that, and it opened up a little bit more. And the pace of Sorba Thomas, I mean, someone said to me just afterwards they didn't think he'd had a good game, but his pace on the break, there were several chances and really good play from him where he left defenders in his wake. And I thought Sorba Thomas, he might not always have the greatest game, but the opposition have got to take notice of him, and they can't get him out of their heads, because if they do, he's going to punish them. And I mean, he had the chance where the ball was played over the top and it went wide and he ran onto it. And he had the shot across the face of goal. But once again, his delivery of the ball into the box from set pieces and corners has been pretty good. And, you can't write the guy out the game at all. We were saying we don't really know what he got the yellow card for, but he, with that sort of pace and that sort of ingenuity and that sort of flair, he just adds that little bit to the game, doesn't he? And I thought Daniel Sinani was unlucky to see that rasping drive. I think would have gone in the roof of the net, and it hit someone's shoulder and went over the bar. So there were I think there were more chances for Town in the game overall, clear chances than there were for Luton. And maybe that's a commentary on the defence. It was a big physical struggle tonight, Raj. They had to be on the ball. They were helped out by Hoggy, but Tom Lees was magnificent in the middle there. And on a night like tonight, when you need against a big physical Luton team, you've got to stand up and be counted. And I think Town were tonight, and that's that was the stamp on a really, really good result.
Yeah, Mel, if I just stick with you for this next one, because it follows on from what you're saying, I think it was a really brave team selection from Carlos Corberán, because he moved Sorba Thomas over to the left, where he's probably more familiar playing for Wales. He brought Pippa in right back rather than going with Turton, with Matty Pearson obviously missing at the minute with his knee complaint. It was as attacking as he could possibly go against a team that he knew was going to be more direct, and he seemed to manage the game very well with his substitutions. Bringing Naby Sarr on when he did, he could have quite easily gone with him from the start and gone with a more natural three. Jonathan Hogg is somebody who was playing such a crucial dual role, dropping in from midfield in between to split Lees and Colwill when he needed to, but also stepping forward when he could as well. I think it was a game that the bench deserves some credit for as well, because they did about as well as they could.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it was a good night from that point of view. I thought we started extremely brightly. The first 10, 15 minutes, I thought we looked very good, and we were committing people forward on the break. And as you mentioned, Sorba's on the left there, and he was getting the ball. I think the only guy who became a bit isolated was Danny Ward. We weren't really quite getting the service into him. That doesn't mean he had a poor game. He was challenging for everything that went anywhere near him. He ran his socks off, and you need your centre forward to do that in a game which, certainly in the first half, was very, very. It looked like two teams desperately not wanting to concede the first goal. And we didn't really get much service into Danny, particularly at that time. But he kept on working and working really hard. And after that, it sort of settled down, and it became a bit nullified, really, on both ends of the pitch. But in the second half, there again, it opened up once more. And I thought the substitutions were very good. Obviously, the Sarr one worked out particularly well. But, Dwayne Holmes, he came on and was busy once Sinani had gone off. And that's what you want him to be. You want him to be a nuisance and to just give you that little bit of extra zing for the last half hour or whatever. So, I think that they worked the substitutions really well. And Jordan, you know what you're going to get from Jordan when he comes on. We've said it before, and at the risk of repeating myself, the result is paramount tonight. That's the thing.
It's somebody that Dave Mel just quickly touched on is Naby Sarr. I want to touch on him a little bit more here. Down the tunnel in the dressing room when the full-time whistle went and all the lads had finished their interviews and everything, the biggest cheer you've ever heard all evening, regardless of how many were in the stands, were from the home dressing room when Naby walked back in. They're all obviously delighted for him. He's, it's Ramadan at the moment. He's fasting. There was actually a moment in the first half where I saw him nip down the tunnel where he's obviously breaking his fast. He's doing something incredible to come on and it was straight into the action defensively. Clearing some balls, heading it, sticking his, not a second dropped performance-wise, but then straight up the other end, reading the corner really well. Brilliant sort of delivery, stooping down for a big man and getting it in the back of the net. It were, it's about a nicer story for Naby as you can get that. Yeah, it is. It's brilliant. And the thing is with Naby is like he's moved one up the sort of ranks because Pearson's injury looks like it's going to be a few weeks yet. So having these players who can do that, who can come on and just fit straight into the system and just play at a level right from the word go is massive. And I think, I'd go further and say it's perhaps the key difference between last season and this one, if I'm brutally honest with you. And he loves a goal, Bizarre, doesn't he? He'll do that. He loves popping up in those positions at set pieces. And it was another brilliant delivery as well, it's worth saying as well, from Silver Thomas. But yeah, it's a great story and it's a great moment. And it's another great moment in the season of them. This is what happens when things are going your way and you've got a good set of lads who are clearly playing for the shirt. They're clearly playing for the crowd. And yeah, it was just, great moment. Yeah, I think it was just one of those where with such a quick turnaround, not just the game on Friday, but then Monday again away at Borough, this is the type of game that regains momentum because it's been a strange period, Mel, where we've seemed to have not played for a long time just because we've been on television and the fixtures aren't Saturday 3 p.m. anymore for us. They're here, there and everywhere. So we've had to wait for this fixture a little while, as have Luton, and then we've performed well on the night. Now we get to go into this next run to end the season, really, because there isn't really any point where we get a real break anymore until the end of the year. Well, we'll see how it ends, but this is about as perfect to start into that real last running as you could want. Yeah, without a doubt. Now, I think what Dave's just said there is it is a team and it's a squad which you can move people about and it's still a team. So that's a really, really positive thing. They are at one. They all seem to know exactly what they're doing. The jobs that they're allocated each day. Hoggy today, dropping back in. He's playing. You get Toffolo and Pippa. Nobody would really mention them, but they've done lots of good things tonight. And Lewis O'Brien in the middle. Lewis has had he never stops. He really is a real all-action player, and he's not always brilliant. It doesn't always go for him. But the one thing is he's never going to stop. Yeah, and he's still 23 as well, isn't he, Mel? So he's got so much room to grow as well. It gives your team massive energy, and at this stage of the season, we're looking the same. Matty Pearson's out injured, which is a blow for everyone. He's a real strong man at the back and a fantastic defender. But there are other people to step
step in, and there are other people who will pick up the mantle, and they'll take it to the opposition. And Lewis O'Brien in the midfield is one of those, and he'll never stop. You know, he'll always give this team that sort of impetus when they need it. And like Dave said, things are going for Town at the moment, but they're working hard for it and they're deserving it. You know, the previous game, you know, Toffs comes up with the winner. Naby Sarr seals the game tonight. You know, people are popping up from all over the place, and that tells you that this is a very united squad, and you know, they're set up for the top six. I'll tell you.
That's a lovely note to end it on, Mel. We've got another game to concentrate on sooner rather than later, so we can't talk about this one forever. I know you're keen as well to make sure your car isn't clamped before you can go.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Mel, for your time. Thanks, Dave, as ever, for your time, and thanks as ever to Sportsbroker for sponsoring the show. And we'll be back with you soon to preview that QPR game on Friday.